again for joining us as we get ready to talk about our dual credit summer academy. Let me go in here real quick and make sure that we are good to go on the. All right, I'm going to minimize this there. So a couple of things as we get started with our dual credit summer academy. Keep in mind that this is a Zoom webinar, and so this is a little bit different than a Zoom meeting that you might be used to. So hopefully right now you can hear me, you can see me. If I were to turn on our cameras there, you can see us, but we can't see you or hear you. But if you look down at the bottom of your screen, you'll see a little Q&A feature. So as questions come up, please feel free to take advantage of that Q&A, and our team will be in the background there answering any of the questions that come in the Q&A. Keep in mind that a lot of the information that we're going to present tonight is going to be recorded for future viewing, and we'll post it on our Dual Credit Summer Academy website at the conclusion. So when you're using the Q&A, a couple of things to keep in mind is please don't share any private information in the Q&A. Right, so if you've got specific questions for your child, you can reach out to us via email. You can reach out to us during the week, but the Q&A is public, and so we do want to protect your privacy. So please don't include any private information during that Q&A. With that, we'll be able to answer your questions either publicly or privately using Q&A. And if some questions are repeated, we actually might answer them live on the recording so that everyone can hear it as well. So again, with that, tonight in our webinar, we're going to cover an overview of dual credit in Humble ISD. We'll be looking at tools that can help you prepare for dual credit, as well as looking at our specifics for Dual Credit Summer Academy 2026. As we get started, just a few quick introductions. My name is Chong Udacrit, and I'm the Director of Advanced Learning for Humble ISD. So that means me and my team get to support all things related to advanced learning, whether that be advanced placement, dual credit, UT on-ramps, gifted and talented, AVID, international baccalaureate, just to name a few of the things that we oversee. In the wings, in the background, you won't see them, but they're here answering your questions on the Q&A, are Miss Christy Huseman and Jennifer Holloway. There are our coordinators for high school and middle school, respectively. They get to work with all of the high schools and middle schools when it comes to supporting advanced learning across the district. We're also joined, and you'll hear from later on, Miss Mandy Fontenot and Dr. Danielle Williams. They are our two dual credit and college career military readiness specialists that work in our office as well. They're going to really be leading the charge when it comes to this dual credit summer academy process. And we are grateful to be joined by our representatives from San Jacinto College, Miss Sonia Townsend. You probably see her there. She is the Dean of Dual Credit Partnerships with San Jacinto College, who we partner with for our Summer Academy, and you'll hear from her later on as well. So you hear directly from our college partners. But before we get too much into the details of Dual Credit Summer Academy, I do always like starting out our presentation with the why. And when we think about higher education, this is part of our why. According to data from the National Center for Educational Statistics, they've been tracking the cost of college attendance dating all the way back there in this graph to 2011. And you can see by the trends, it doesn't matter if I'm going public, in-state, or out-of-state, or private. The tuition costs seem to be trending in only one direction, and that's up. So the days of us being able to work those summer jobs to pay for the next semester's tuition, those are quickly fading away for us when we look at the rising cost of higher education. And so when we specifically look at opportunities like dual credit here in Humble ISD, we wanted to be able to arm you with some information related to those costs. So we looked at historical tuition costs for our top 25 colleges that our students attend post-graduation. And so what we try to do is compare the overall cost to getting core complete. So core complete is that 42 semester college credit hours. Think of it like your college basics. And so you don't need to have the specific numbers there, But you can kind of see on the left-hand side here, if our students were to pursue being core complete via dual credit during their time in Humble ISD, you see the cost there here on the left compared with attending Lone Star or San Jacinto College post high school graduation. So again, still very affordable options when you look at the cost of getting core complete at our partner colleges at Lone Star and San Jacinto. And then you can compare them to the cost of attending some of our four-year institutions that our students really are interested in attending. And you can see that the best that we can, if you can pursue dual credit while you're in high school, that's a great opportunity for cost savings for you and your family. And the other thing that we look at when we look at the tuition costs is we look at what does that look like in the long run. There's a recent study done, published in 2025, where we looked at students that took dual enrollment or dual credit while they were in high school. And I don't want to spend too much time on this graph, but one of the things that we typically look at is we try to say, okay, well, you see that having a CTE focus, if you take CTE only in high school, at the age of 19 and 21, it does put you ahead of similar peers that might not be doing a CTE focus. But when you look at it by the age of 24, right? So think about by the time somebody gets age 24, typically they've been out of college and they're about a few years into the workforce. Unfortunately, what we see is that lead is diminished. That head start that they got at the age of 19 and 21 in earnings is completely erased by the age of 24. And really, what we see is students that have taken some sort of advanced learning between dual enrollment and advanced placement really get ahead on that earnings curve, right? So that lifetime earning and that earning by the age of 24 is significant for our students. And so for us to be able to put our students on a track to success, we want to make sure that we give access to coursework early, specifically tonight talking about dual credit in our Dual Credit Summer Academy. So starting out, we want to be able to look at what is dual credit. And so I want to turn it over to Ms. Sonia Townsend with San Jacinto College to give us a little bit of an overview as to what dual credit is.
Thank you and good evening. So what is dual credit? So dual credit, there are college courses taken while a student is in high school. So the student will actually earn high school credit and college credit at the same time. There are certain criteria that students have to meet in order to take college credit. There's TSIA testing, and so students must meet that eligibility requirement initially in order to take dual credit classes. So with our dual credit course, which we're proud to say, San Jac offers a 75% discount for dual credit classes. And so with that, students will save approximately $108. And that includes instructional material because we offer OER classes. And also, one of the things that I'm so passionate about is that students earn this college degree at a reduced rate, but it also shortens the time to completion when they transfer out to universities. And again, it helps with students, exposing them to the college community at a younger age, and it also gives them that confidence when they go to a university. And so there are several delivery options we have for dual credit. The Summer Academy, what we'll have them, they'll be taken directly from San Jacinto College. So that means that our instructors are actually teaching these college courses. Students can also take dual credit classes with their instructor that is a high school instructor, and they will deliver the San Jac information. Right now, for the Summer Academy, we're going to use option one. And again, all the students will be taking a course taught by a San Jac instructor. So our grades are determined by the college instructors. We use a scale of A through F. Humble will use a numerical scale of 0 through 100. And so there's a bit of a difference. And so you do need to know that on your transcript, right? For dual credit summer academy, an A at San Jac will mean a 95 on your high school transcript. On your San Jac transcript, it will solely show an A. On the high school transcript, it will show an 85, but for San Jac, it will show a B. For a C average, it will show a 77 on, again, the Humble transcript, but for San Jac, it will show a C. And then for a D, it will show a 73 on the Humble transcript, but only a D will show on that San Jac transcript. And if a student makes an F, then that will be reflected as a 65 on the Humble ISD transcript. But again, at San Jac, we only go by alpha, and so we'll show an F in our system.
And so I want to speak to this a little bit, just so that you are aware, just so that everyone is aware, that the courses that we take during Summer Academy can impact class ranking. And again, it doesn't impact a lot of students, but there are students that it could impact. If you are vying for top 10, you might want to seriously consider whether or not dual credit Summer Academy is something that you want to pursue. Because if you believe that you can score higher than a 95 on your high school class, that will be an overall benefit as it relates to your GPA for high school. So keep that in mind when you think about the course content that you're going to engage with. And then talk to your counselor about whether or not this is an option for you. Again, it doesn't impact every single student, but there are a few select students that are very GPA conscious that are competing for that top 10 that it could impact. And so we want to make sure that you're informed about all of these numbers and how they impact your high school GPA.
And so at San Jacinto College or any institution of higher ed, we have to comply with FERPA educational rights. What does that mean? So FERPA basically protects the rights of students' educational records, kind of like HIPAA, but this is for, again, education. When a student turns 18 years of age, or if they enroll at any institution in higher ed at 14, 15, 16, FERPA rights come into play. And this means that I am only able to talk to the student, right? This includes any information regarding scheduling, GPA, test scores, account balances, any questions that a parent would normally be able to ask an ISD, they cannot ask San Jacinto College. We are not permitted to answer that question due to FERPA rights. Now, there are times where you may want to meet with your student and the San Jac employee, and that is fine, that is okay. But that means at that time, it could be a virtual approval where that student is saying, "Hey, mom and dad, can you meet with Sonia Townsend?" And at that time, the student can verbally consent to me giving that information. Now, that is just consent to discuss the records. That does not mean that you get to make a decision regarding the student schedule or a class. It is solely informational. Another thing that you can do is also complete a FERPA release form, and your child would have to do that. Sorry, I'm going a little fast ahead of the slide. But again, we have that virtual consent where we're more than happy and willing to meet with a parent via Zoom, via Teams. And again, this is where we can have that conversation with the parent and answer any questions. And then there's also a FERPA release form. That FERPA release form is only valid for one semester, and it has to be completed with an admissions advisor. Both the parent and the student need to be available, and they have to show the photo ID. And again, it does not give the parent any right to change any information or make a decision regarding the student. However, the parent is more than welcome to reach out to an ISD personnel.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. And then we're going to turn it over as we kind of start talking about the specifics for our dual credit classes coming up.
All right, good evening, everyone. So I'm going to go over some of the qualifications for students who are interested in taking courses during Summer Academy. So as college courses, there are prerequisites, and one of those prerequisites is showing college readiness. And so there are a couple of ways for students to show their college readiness. I'm sure most of you have received email communication regarding the TSI A2 assessments that are offered on most of our all of our campuses throughout the spring semester. And so that test can either be for English or for mathematics. So with the English test, students need to score at least a 945. It's a 30 question multiple choice test. And if they don't score at that 945, it takes them to a diagnostic immediately. And then if they score a 5 or higher on the diagnostic, then they're considered college ready for English. I'm sorry, for the at least for the multiple choice part. There's also an essay component that is scored on a rubric from 1 to 8. Students need to score at least a 5 on the essay, and I'm sorry, the multiple choice combined with the essay makes a student English college ready. For the math test, it's a 20 question choice test, and students must score at least a 950 on the math test to be deemed college ready. Again, if they don't pass with the 950, it'll take them directly to a diagnostic where they have to score a 6. For our students who are rising juniors, there is an opportunity to take the SAT in March, that one time for free. And so that is also a way to be deemed college ready. And as you see on the screen, they have to have a 480 on the English section and a 530 on the math section, at least. And so it's not a combined score, it's those individual scores on those individual pieces. And students can combine as well. So maybe a student is English ready, got their English TSI score to be a 945 with the essay, and then took the SAT and got a 530. It doesn't have to be from one set of assessments. It just has to be that they're deemed college ready by one of these indicators. And also the ACT is an option. As you can see with the English section, it has a combined score of a 40 and the math is a 22. So there are also specific courses that require specific tests. So our math courses will require that students meet the math qualification. For students who want to take econ, they actually have to have be both college ready in English and in math. And then we are going to get into some of our new course offerings, but one of them is British literature, which will count as an English 4. And those students need to have taken and passed English 1301, and it needs to be on their transcript. And it will be the responsibility of the student to request their transcript either from on-ramps, well, from UT or from Lone Star if they've taken that English 1301 so that Sanjak can verify that they do have the prerequisite course to be able to take that English 4 or British Literature 2322. So, excuse me. So we have a number of courses offered this summer, and what you see on the screen are those required college readiness indicators. So for a number of the classes that you see with the asterisks next to them, those are the courses that are approved for our rising ninth graders. And so you'll see that they have to still sit and take the TSI for those classes, and then all of the other classes require that the student has passed and is deemed college ready based on that chart on the previous slide. So, as I mentioned earlier, we have offered the TSI all fall on all of our high school campuses. And so we are continuing with making sure that our students have access to TSI for free. There's a test just about every Saturday somewhere in the district. So what you see in front of you are the remaining TSI offerings that will make a student eligible before the deadline for Summer Academy. And so we have some tests open for registration right now that you can sign up for. So the dates at the bottom are the last dates that students can sit for the test before before we have to submit all of our registration information for San Jacinto. So March 28th, those tests are the last ones that'll be offered on the high school campuses for students to be able to be eligible for Summer Academy. And we are proud to say that all of our middle schools have also opened up their doors this school year, this spring, to offer our middle school students the opportunity to take the TSI at their home campuses. We know that oftentimes our middle school students are more comfortable at their home campuses. So all of our middle schools have opened up their doors. So I know that AMS and Humboldt Middle School have already had their tests these last 2 Saturdays. And what you see on the screen are the remaining dates for middle school. Now, if the high school is more convenient for you, your middle school student can, in fact, take the test at the middle school, I'm sorry, at the high schools. But again, sometimes students feel a little bit more comfortable in familiar surroundings. So your student is more than welcome to sign up at any available school, wherever they feel comfortable and whatever is convenient for you as parents. But make sure you notice when the form closes so that you can get in before the seats are taken. And so our partner, San Jacinto, also offers testing. They must have a G number. So that means that they've already applied through Apply Texas to receive that G number. They also have to request. So unlike with the test that I offered on Saturdays, where it's just a Qualtrics form, and you can come and you just sign up that way, with the test at San Jacinto, they need to know you're coming and that you've been approved to take the test. So our high school students have to go see their dual credit liaison and fill out the required form to get approved to take that test at San Jacinto. You cannot just show up without that form being filled out. Our rising ninth graders, so our eighth graders, would have to go to their eighth grade counselor and have that conversation and get that form completed and submitted to our partners before your testing. Also note that no matter where you take the test, even if it's on our an Humboldt ISD campus, students must complete what's called a pre-assessment activity. It provides students with an opportunity to see what the test is like prior to taking the test. It takes them through all of the resources that are embedded in the testing platform. And so that must be completed whether they before they take the test, whether it's in an Humboldt ISD campus or if it's at San Jacinto. So these are their testing times. So when the center is open, please note that there are no late testing hours. If you decide to allow your student to test during a school date, this is not an excused absence, and so they won't be providing you with any note. So we're providing you with this information because our calendars aren't the same. So there is time. So for instance, in 2 weeks when our students are out, this may be the time that they want to go and test, and also during spring break. That is also another opportunity that students may want to use to go to take the test at San Jacinto. However, we strongly recommend and encourage all of our Humboldt ISD families to take the test with us for multiple reasons, but it's free and it's convenient. And excuse me, lastly, I want to make sure that our students are prepared. We don't want to send students in blindly to take a test. We want them to always be ready and prepared with as much knowledge as they possibly can have. So the district has invested in a testing platform called Schmoop. It is completely free. It is an engaging way for students to prep for the test. It uses pop culture and things that students are more familiar with to get them engaged into the lesson. There's stories, they use humor. So it is what we highly recommend our students are using. And so on the next slide, it shows you how to access it. So when this slide will be provided for you on our website. But if the students just log into their My Humble ISD dashboard and type in Schmoop, it'll come up and they click on the Schmoop icon and then log in with their Humble ISD account, choose their campus, and then there it is. And so we highly recommend students at bare minimum take one of the diagnostics before they sit for the test, because what the diagnostic will do is it will tell the students where they need to practice. It'll give them an anticipated score and then where they need to practice. It'll provide them with drills and additional full-length practice tests well before they go into the test whenever they decide to take it. So please, please, please take advantage of this free resource that is available to your students. They can use a PC, a Chromebook, or even their cell phones at home to be able to access this resource. And the video, we won't show it, but the video does show students how to get into the platform and how to access those diagnostics and drills.
Okay, so hopefully we've done a good job selling dual credit classes and specifically our dual credit summer academy, and you're now fully engaged in wanting to enroll in dual credit summer academy courses. So we're going to talk a little bit about that process. I know there were several questions in the Q&A about TSI and apply taxes. So we'll make sure that we address that in this part of the presentation. So as we stated before, our dual credit summer academy for this year is with our San Jacinto partnership. All of our classes are going to be offered virtually. However, they are not self-paced. So a student cannot complete the entire course in a week to get ahead. So there will be due dates, and students will need to be prepared to engage in the course virtually, consistently, daily throughout the summer. Everything will, in terms of books, will be open access, so students will not need to purchase any textbooks for this. The approximate cost of a course is about $108. Some of that will vary based off of residency, and we'll talk about that a little bit when we get into the Apply Texas part of it. Most of our courses are offered in Summer 1, which would be from June 1st to July 2nd. Our Summer 2 session is going to be from July 6th to August 6th. And then if you're taking a Spanish course, Spanish 1 or Spanish 2, those courses will actually go through the entire course of the summer. So those will be from June 1st to August 6th. So you've probably seen this. This is posted on our website. It's also posted on the flyer if you were at any of our parent nights where we gave out that flyer. Courses are very similar to what we've offered in the past, but for Summer 1, like I said, that's the majority of our courses. And so that's going to be almost all of the courses that are for Encourage for Rising ninth graders. We also have a new course that we're offering this year, which Dr. Williams mentioned, which is that English 2322, which is a British literature class that could potentially earn a student credit for English 4. However, they would need English 1301 as a prereq for that course. In Summer 2, not as many course offerings, but those will be Economics Composition 2, which is the second part of 1301, and then the second part for English for that British literature course, and then government as well. Like I said before, our Spanish classes are 10-week courses, so they span the entire course of the summer, and those are for Spanish 1 and Spanish 2. You have to have taken Spanish 1401 as a prereq before you can take Spanish 1412. Additionally, in order to take Spanish 1 at dual credit, you could not have taken Spanish 1 in 8th grade for high school credit. Okay, so we'll probably get some questions about that. Hopefully somebody can answer that in the chat if I wasn't clear about that. These are the courses that have the asterisk that we recommend for our 8th graders, rising ninth graders. That will help students get those fine arts credits for the most part. And then again, like I said, for Spanish 1, students could not have taken Spanish 1 in 8th grade for high school credit. Okay. Additionally, for the 8th graders, like we mentioned before with TSI, a lot of these just require students attempt the TSIA. For Spanish, 1411 and public speaking, those courses do require a passing TSIA score in English. Our new courses this year are those British literature courses. Again, you have to have English 1301 credit to be eligible for those courses. And then Spanish 1412, again, you need Spanish 1411 in order to be able to enroll in that class. And those will need to show on your transcript. Okay, so some of you, I feel, based off the questions, are already ahead of the game and have filled out your Apply Texas application. So that is awesome. If you already have your Apply Texas application submitted, it should take about 2 to 3 days for you to get your San Jacinto student ID, which we will call a G number because it's going to be a G followed by a series of numbers. Be sure you hold on to that because you're going to need that number for almost every other form that you need to fill out. This was a question in the chat. Everyone's going to be accepted through San Jacinto. So it's not a first come, first serve process for that. And you will get your application, you'll get your acceptance very quickly after filling that out. After you've done your Apply Texas, or even before you've done your Apply Texas, students need to meet with their counselor to get approval for their courses. This is really important when they get into the secondary level because the counselor is going to know the student's graduation plan and their endorsement and be able to recommend what courses will work best for the student. I know that this was another question that we get asked a lot of, will it help free up classes for your student if you take dual credit classes? That's very much a possibility, but again, you need to talk with your student's counselor to know the specifics for that. If you have already had passing scores for the TSIA, those scores are good for 5 years. So if you've met the standard, you do not need to test again. If you have not tested, or if you've tested and not passed, be sure that you know those course requirements and sign up for a test before March 28th, because we will need those scores by the end of March in order to fill out the enrollment paperwork. On February 2nd, Humble ISD will be sending out a course selection form. That is the form that you will fill out and indicate which courses your student wants to take. You will need your G number from Sanjack to complete that application. So please do not wait until the very last possible minute to fill out the Apply Texas application. Because you won't have that number in enough time to fill out the course selection form. Again, make sure that all of the courses you have discussed with your counselor, you're not signing up for something that will not fit with your graduation plan. After students have filled out their course selection form, they have their Apply Texas, all of that done. Students will also be required to complete a meningitis waiver, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. And then on February 19th at the Generation Park campus, which is right by Summer Creek High School, San Jacinto will have a optional open house to be able to answer any questions and kind of be able to show you what San Jacinto can provide to your students as well. By March 28th, all of the documentation needs to be submitted online. So a student needs to have completed their meningitis waiver. They need to have completed a mandatory orientation, which will be online. So once a student claims their account from Sanjack, a pop-up will pop up for them that will say you're required to do this orientation. So that needs to be completed with that. And students need to just make sure that they're familiar with the San Jacinto platform and they know where they can go to ask questions and pay their bills. This flyer, you'll have access to it. It is linked to it whenever we send out this presentation. This will give you a step-by-step on how to fill out the Apply Texas application. If you scan that QR code, it'll basically tell you how to answer those questions. There is one small change on that. In the past, you had to select that you wanted to do dual credit and undergraduate when you're completing your Apply Texas application. This year, you can just select the dual credit option. If your student has already participated in Dual Credit Summer Academy in previous years, but they are not currently enrolled in a course at San Jacinto during the spring 2026 semester, students must reapply every year. So I believe that was a question in the chat, but yes, you will need to reapply. You will keep the same G number, but you must submit that Apply Texas application every year. This is an example of the meningitis waiver that all students need to fill out. Since we are doing everything virtually, it is not required for students to have the meningitis vaccine. If they do have a meningitis vaccine, you can go ahead and submit those shot records and you don't have to worry about this waiver. However, if they are not at that age to have that shot, they can fill out this waiver, which will be on the San Jacinto website, and not have to have that vaccination. This is going to show you an example of what our course selection form will look like. Again, this will be available on February 2nd. And so students will put in their name and ID number, and then it will populate the form for you, and you can select which courses you want to take. For students that are currently in 8th grade, the only options they will have are those courses that are recommended for rising 9th graders. Also, there is a place on there for parent signature as well. I mentioned this before, but do not wait for the last minute to do your apply Texas, because students will need that San Jacinto ID or G number to complete the course request forms. It takes about 48 hours for students to get that, and those are business days as well. So if you're filling it out on a weekend, you're not going to get your G number on that Monday. So we recommend that your Apply Texas application is submitted by February 24th to ensure that you have that number that you will need for the course selection form that closes on February 27th. So we are very blessed this summer to continue with our dual credit summer academy counselor role. So in addition to Dr. Williams and myself, we will also have Jessica Romero, who is a counselor at Kingwood High School, that will be supporting students throughout the summer. So what that means is that we'll be periodically checking in with students to check their progress. San Jacinto also sends out things that are called early alerts, and they will be taking attendance. So if we see that students are not regularly engaging with the course, we will be reaching out and seeing if there's any issues that we can troubleshoot through. Additionally, I also would encourage your students in the summer, if they're struggling with something, to reach out to us as well, and we'll have our contact information so that we can kind of help navigate any issues that may be coming up. Also, if a student wishes to drop their course over the summer, so they try it out and it's just not really working and they don't want it to negatively impact their high school or college transcript, the counselor will assist them with completing the required paperwork, and then we'll also be able to have a conversation with them about what is this going to do to their high school schedule if they drop this course. So kind of our timeline, like I said, the course selection form will be sent out on February 2nd. It closes on February 27th. Make sure you have that Apply Texas application and you have your San Jacinto G number in order to complete that. If your student has not taken their TSI, they need to be sure that they sign up for that quickly so that they have enough time to get that done. The optional San Jacinto open house at their Generation Park campus, it will be held on February 19th. I believe they are also going to record that session and can send that out to people that may be interested in that information as well. All of the documents need to be submitted by March 31st. So that's your meningitis waiver, your required orientation. You had to have taken your TSI. Students won't actually submit those scores. We will submit those on their behalf, but they need to have taken those and earned those qualifying scores. And then if you are needing some financial assistance, students can also request scholarships through their counselor. We will get students enrolled in courses as quickly as possible, and then on May 1st is when when it's open for students to be able to pay for the course. They will do that through the San Jacinto system, and payment is due by May 8th. Okay. So, next steps, if you are interested in dual credit summer academy, again, meeting with your counselor and getting those courses approved is a must. We need to make sure that it's going to fit with their high school graduation plan as well as what they want to do when they get into college as well. Students must be TSIA 2 ready. So if you haven't earned those scores, make sure that they're taking care of that and then fill out those Apply Texas applications to be accepted into San Jacinto College. Students are not officially enrolled until they have met all of the entry criteria and submitted all of the necessary documentation. We will give students a printout that says you are enrolled in the course and this is what your bill will be for your summer courses. So that should be coming by the end of April. This is our publication flyer for the Dual Credit Summer Academy that can answer some of your questions, show you which courses are offered. But on the back of that is super important because it has the registration checklist where you can literally check off all of the things that need to be completed for Dual Credit Summer Academy. Okay, we will answer questions in the chat and potentially some live questions as well. But if there's something that we didn't get to, please feel free to email us at dualcredit@humbleisd.net.
All right, thank you all so much for that presentation. A couple of questions, Dr. Williams, Ms. Fontenot, that came in through the Q&A that might be some common questions, I think. So if a student does not pass the TSIA, does that mean that they cannot enroll in summer academy classes?
So there are other options for students as well in order to be able to enroll in those courses. So for instance, we may be able to look at a student's PSAT scores to be able to qualify for them. But for sure you're ready to go is the TSIA 2 scores. But if there's issues that may be coming, I would encourage you to email us at this email address and we can look at your students on an individual basis.
Perfect, thank you. Another question that came in, you had briefly mentioned dropping a course. Can you give us some reasons as to why a student would need to drop a course after they started?
So the important thing to realize about dual credit, and I think we've kind of glossed over this just in general, is that this is a course that's going to be on their high school transcript and their college transcript. Again, a lot of the times for these dual credit classes, students are pretty young and engaging in a course like this for the very first time. And so if a student is struggling with the course, we do not want that to negatively impact their high school GPA or show up on a college transcript. So sometimes it's necessary for a student to make that call and make that hard decision and drop the course as opposed to having that on their high school or college transcript. Also, it may be something to where, circumstances just didn't work out. If there's a death in the family, or something happened and I'm no longer able to engage in the course on a regular basis. Like I needed to go somewhere over the summer and I couldn't engage with the course regularly. So those may be things that would cause a student to drop or make that decision.
Perfect, thank you. And the specific dates for drops, just for the webinar to know, it will be communicated out once we get a little bit closer. It's also posted on our Dual Credit Summer Academy website. But our team will be working with any students that might be struggling to make them aware of those drop dates as well so we can avoid those negative impacts to the GPA. Another question that came in, some people were talking about the difference between dual credit, advanced placement, on-ramps. We have a completely full presentation on that one, but just high level for you is AP, dual credit, on-ramps, all different curricula, different providers, but are all advanced academic offerings. And so specific to this summer, in our summer academy, it is going to be dual credit. The good thing is students can mix and match. It's not all or nothing. So there are students that will start out taking some dual credit classes over the summer, And then as they get into high school, they'll look at taking some advanced placement classes or UT on-ramps classes. And so students can definitely mix and match their different courses that they want to take in high school, all of which are advanced offerings, all of which offer weighted GPA points as well. So just know that you don't have to just choose one or the other. A couple of people are asking about can a student attend summer camp while they take dual credit summer academy? Ms. Fondo, Dr. Williams, either one of you want to take this one?
So it depends. Like I said, it is not a self-paced course, so it's not like a student can do 2 weeks of work at a week time to get ahead. So if they are going to a summer camp where they will have the flexibility and the internet and technology capabilities to be able to engage in the course on a regular basis, then yes, that is something that they can do. However, if it's a summer camp to where you're going to a cabin in the woods and there's no technology and there's no downtime for them, then that would be a struggle and would not be ideal for a dual credit summer academy course.
A couple of different questions coming in on the Q&A related to cost and fee deferrals. And so a couple of things just to point out as it relates to the overall cost. The average, the standard, as we mentioned before, for 3 semester credit hour classes, which is the majority of the classes that are being offered, those are going to be close to about $108 for the course. Now, there are some exceptions. I think there's a couple of streets over in the Summer Creek area that might see a lower cost due to residency being within that taxing zone for San Jacinto College. But for the vast majority of our families, the cost will be about $108 for those 3 semester credit hour classes. And for the Spanish classes, the 4 semester credit hour classes, that would be $144 for those classes. As far as fee deferrals go, keep in mind that students who are in AVID, who are currently in AVID, do receive an automatic 50% fee deferral. So if your student is currently enrolled in AVID, they will automatically get a 50% fee deferral that will be loaded within the system. We pull that list from our AVID rosters and send them straight to San Jacinto College. And so when you log into pay, if you are an AVID student and you don't see that discount, don't submit the payment just yet. I would recommend waiting to give time for that fee deferral to load. Also, students who qualify for free and reduced lunch are able to take dual credit classes at absolutely zero cost. Again, I'll say that for our families and students that qualify for free and reduced lunch, they automatically qualify for what's called FAST funding. That's financial aid for swift transfer. That is state funding that covers the full cost for our families and students that qualify for free and reduced lunch. So for those students, there's absolutely no financial obligation to enroll in dual credit classes during the summer as well as during the school year. All right, looks like we've got a majority of the questions out of the way. We'll continue to stick around and answer some of the questions via typing in the Q&A. Keep in mind that we are recording this session and we will be posting it on our Dual Credit Summer Academy website that you can see the link there. That's humbleisd.net/DCSA 2026 or 2026. You'll find this recording as well as other resources, timelines, all the information that we covered this evening. Also keep in mind that here at Advanced Learning, we do have a podcast where we talk about anything and everything related to advanced learning. And so you can find us on Spotify, you can find us on YouTube. We are putting out all the information that we can to help equip you with the information needed related to all the different advanced course offerings that we have, as well as other topics related to advanced learning. So I'd highly encourage you, some of the questions that you asked tonight related to different coursework, different types of advanced courses, that's all recorded for you on our Advanced Learning podcast. So our team is going to stay here. We're going to turn off our microphones and cameras, but we will be answering a few more questions in the Q&A. And then towards the tail end, I'll jump back on here before we end our time together. But that covers the majority of our information tonight. Feel free to sign off if you got all of your questions answered. Otherwise, we're going to stick around, answer some questions on the Q&A, and then I'll jump back on here in a moment when we end our time together.